What's going on, guys? The Geektastic Duo is back with another video. I'm Gilly Deltrez, co-creator of Galactic Rodents of Mayhem, and I'm joined with
Hero Geek, creator of Paragon Prime. So that's a GoFundMe going on now. So please go and donate or share.
Please give Ron some money to tell an awesome superhero story. Pretty please.
Pretty please. Anyway, today we're
talking superheroes, right? What do we got?
Yeah, we're talking about Radiant Black, and like this was a comic that was recommended to me on Twitter. And I saw it, floating around on Twitter. And then, I went to my local comic book shop, and I asked for it. Like, oh, do you have the first issue of this? They're like, yeah, it's right over here. So I picked it up, right? And I like the first issue. Like, okay, I can continue reading this. So I read the second issue, and for a while I was on board with it. But then I told Gilly to read it, and he wasn't feeling it at all, like whatsoever. We made a video about that, right? I was trying to defend it and everything. I'm like, Gilly, like, nah. So, and then I went ahead and I got the third issue. And then when I read the third issue, I was like, oh, wait, Gilly was totally right about this comic book. This thing sucks.
All right, so real quick, right, just to put some context in here, right? We're judging a superhero story. Yeah. Rob told me about this. He was really excited. And if you look at the cover, I mean, there's a bunch of covers out there. But if you just type in Radiant Black, I mean, it looks amazing. I'm not going to lie. But cover, first glance, it looks incredible. It's written by Kyle Higgins. I loved his work on the Mighty Morphing Power Rangers with IDW. He did the first couple of books, and they're amazing for me. They're just, wow. I mean, if you thought Mighty Morphin Power Ranger was campy, not all that back in the day, it's just, whatever. I'm not feeling it. It's kind of kiddie. He really, he put some maturity on that and some, enthralling elements to just really engage. And you would think a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger book could be so great. So he has cachet. He can write. The dude's a top quality writer. So what's my problem with Radiant Black? Ron loved this thing and
loved past tense.
He loved. So he loved it, and because Ron's a sucker for superhero stories, as well I am. I am, and you got to understand something. We've seen every superhero story there is out there. We've seen it. We've seen Batman. We've seen Superman. We've seen superheroes with wealth. We've seen superheroes with superpowers, X-ray, gamma radiation. Right, the Hulk. They bit by a super radioactive Spider-Man. Right, we've seen all types. Right, Green Lantern. You got your alien ring power. We've seen every kind of superhero. Right, so you got to freshen it up. Right. And my issue with Radiant Black right off the bat is the way Kyle Higgins promotes this book. He simply says it's Invincible, which if you don't know Invincible, me and Ron could do a video on that. But that's Robert Kirkman, Walking Dead fame. And he did his take on superheroes, and it's really brutal. And I enjoyed what I had read from it. Ron wasn't too crazy about it. But before we digress, just going to say that Kyle Higgins is saying his Radiant Black is like Invincible meets Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So right off the bat, that's pretty descriptive. So the first issue, you got to bring it. You got to bring it. If you're saying this is Invincible meets Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, you got to bring it in that first issue. I don't care what. That first issue for me was a snooze fest. It was not entertaining at all. The main characters just want to be writer. Look good. He has to move back at home with mom. Wow, talking about major problems. He wants to be a successful writer. I can relate to that because I want to be a successful writer. Ron wants to be a successful writer, right? Like I can relate to that. I create comics myself.
Yeah,
so does Ron.
I connected to that aspect of the character. That's why I kind of like the first issue, because I connected to that element.
Ron connected to that so hard that I didn't get. You can pull the wool over my eyes, but like I'm not letting that happen because as much as I could connect with that, I'm looking at this as a superhero story. I'm like, okay, as a superhero, this guy's main problem is that he wants to be a writer and he can't, and he has to go live back at home with mom and dad. That's not a major issue for me. That's not a major struggle, a major conflict. I don't see that. And then in the main issue, he meets with one of his buddies, and it's like, hey, let's go for a night in the town. And they go to a beer, a bar. They have some beers. They kick back. And when they come out the bar, they stumble upon this looks like a little mini black hole that forms. And the main character touches it. He gets this cool armor on. and then he could do some cool stuff. Cops show up, and he's like moving the train out the way and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool, but again, snooze fest.
And that could have been done so much cooler. Like me and you discussed how much cooler that whole scene could have been.
Again, right? Like when I mentioned flashbacks, like if he touches that, he transports to another dimension, sees some things. I don't know, like the originator, whatever. You could go so much. Okay, you could go so much with that. Yeah. But again, I'm saying first issue, snooze fest, because there's no real. I mean, there's no real allure. There's no real mystery behind. Okay, yeah, you touch this thing, you got this cool stuff, and that's it. I get you. You know, if you want to leave some things, but when you're talking about I'm the Invincible meets the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. You gotta have something right in the first issue. I don't care. You got to go out there. You got to go all in. I mean, if you think about it,
you know, the slow burn just doesn't do it for me in this case. You know, and the second issue was a little better. It had a little action, but not enough. The third issue was the worst.
So real quick, we'll talk about the second issue because I read that, and it's okay. More him and his dad. Dad's more old school. Hey, you got to roll up your sleeves and make it work and get a job and do all. If the writing ain't cutting it, you know, you got to get a real job. And I'm with that. I mean, my dad don't know about writing. He's like, okay, that you can make a career as a writer. Okay, great. That's not for me. And you're trying to do that. Good luck. Roll up your sleeves, get a real job. Be a man, get a job. You know, Be a man. Roll your sleeves up, get a real job. Like my dad just is. So I could relate with that part. But again. You know, it's still slow. It still takes forever. And then the one interesting that happens is that there's another dude with another suit who's like a red version, and he wants to know how that dude got his powers, and he thinks that guy's going to know more than him because we just see him touch it, he gets a power, and that's it. Like he could do cool stuff.
Have a little altercation that's kind of decent, but nothing really.
So, okay, nothing really. But for me, this is the second issue I'm giving you. And Invincible kicks it off right off the bat. You already know what you're getting to with Invincible. In the first issue, it hits you hard. What Kyle Higgins did with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, people kind of know the history a little bit of. You kind of know a general knowledge of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He did a great take on that where he just like, he like rebooted it in a way that even if you didn't know, it's just amazing. So you're throwing these two titles out there and you're saying, oh, well, I'm like this and that. I'm a mashup of that. Here's Radiant Black, but there's no mashup. You don't get nothing. You don't get none of the high action that you get from Invincible. And as far as the story, the intrigue, even with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, it's a bunch of kids that, you know, they're not really friends. They kind of become friends. They kind of know they have these powers and they kind of learn each other and fill each other out. Because they got to save the world, so it puts them together. At the same time, there's a little conflict, but inner turmoil within the group. That's amazing, and that's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. We don't see none of this in the first two issues. My time is very precious, and we live in a world where content, right? We're getting dominated by all types of content. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, right? HBO Max, right? Everything, video games. It's a competition to get your attention. A comic book is pictures. It's imagery. If they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, and I'm giving you comic book panels and text, if you're saying this is Invincible meets Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, I need a lot more. Because the main hero is just nothing interesting. Nothing interesting around him aside from I want to be a writer and I can't.
The suit is cool. That's about it.
The suit is the bread and butter, but I don't care about the suit if there's nothing that I gave you two issues. Ron was still okay. He gave it the third issue. He could talk about the third issue. I didn't go there. So Ron, why did it fall flat for you?
It was basically just him trying to write. The whole issue was him trying to start his book. I'm like, why is this interesting to me? Why am I reading this study about a failed writer? This is a superhero comic book, okay?
It's really just that?
It's so bad, yes. Like, look, let me show you. Let me show you. Okay, so this is the first page, right? See.
Yeah.
But then they look. These are two.
Let's see if we can
wasted on this trash that I don't care about.
Oh wow, that looks like a screenplay.
Yeah,
it looks like so that's just all prose.
That's his all prose. Like look at that, and nothing happens in this comic book. He wants to write, but he can't write because his mom interrupts him, and then he has to watch cat videos to get inspired, and then
cat videos. And then
he has a whole like trying to write and whatever, and then he like, oh well, I'm gonna go see my buddy over at the video store, and they have a little argument, and then he has a cool nightmare that I thought was going to turn to action, where he kind of encounters like an older version of himself, like with a cape.
Or maybe could get some memories onto the origin of his powers.
Yeah.
Maybe something deep in there could take him there.
It ends before it becomes interesting, and that's it. He helps some people stuck on the road because of the app that his friend made, and he carries him to the game. And then he goes home, he sleeps, he wakes up in the morning, and he starts writing his book. That's it. Okay? That's the whole freaking comic book.
Oh, I don't mean to be rude. I'm just saying, listen to me. I'm a creator. I know when you talk about two different genres and you compare your comic to that, it's never good to compare your comic to that. I get like, don't say it's this meets that. I'm with those comparisons. Like, try to just be original about your stuff. One thing, I do write comics. I have Galactic Rodents of Mayhem out there. Check it out. Issue number 1 is on scoutcomics.com. Look up Galactic Rodents of Mayhem. And you'll see.
I backed it, so I'm gonna get the full
You're gonna get the full volume, and the full volume's coming soon.
I did read the first couple of pages, and Gilly, right off the bat, bam, he hits you with intrigue and with action, with like compelling. Oh my god, I can't wait to see what happens next.
So the thing is, when I was promoting that in Indiegogo, I was saying it's like Star Wars, or it's like TMNT meets Star Wars, or it's the Capybara love child of TMNT and Star Wars. You're talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You're talking about Star Wars, right? And I'm saying, hey, it's kind of like a mix of that with capybaras. You're like, what? But you kind of get what I'm saying. When you read that first issue, I had people that do not know me, okay, said they absolutely love the first issue. They want more, and that makes me happy. What I'm getting at is that Radiant Black is saying it's Invincible meets Mighty Morphing Power Rangers, and you go to 3 issues in there, and there's like, what are you doing? It's almost like this expose on writing.
People,
wanting to.
Yeah, I tweeted about it, and like people say, "Oh no, give it a chance, give it a chance." Like, why? Why should I give it another chance? Like, oh well, because he promised that the next issue was gonna be better. No. He promised that about the issue number 3, and like, no, this is
no. I'm done with that. I give you 1 issue. I gave this one 2 issues because of my buddy here, and that was 2 issues too many. Yeah. I'll give you 1 issue. If you kind of got me where I want to know, if you kind of got me a little bit like, I kind of want to know what happens next. You won. You got 1 issue to do that. You got 22 pages to leave me like, okay, I want to know what's going to happen next. If you can't do that for me in the first issue, I don't care. I went ahead on that second issue on my buddy Ron's suggestion. He went to the 3rd issue and he agreed with me. As far as superheroes are back, not with Radiant Black. Okay, maybe there's a new fresh superhero idea out there. If there is, let us know in the comments below if there's a cool new superhero type story. I know of one, and it's Paragon Prime. And Ron's trying to get that one done, and we talked behind the scenes, and I know there's a lot of great stuff. He got an amazing artist on that. So guys, help him get that mini comic out because he has a lot of savvy, he has a lot of intelligence, he has a lot of knowledge of the classic superheroes, and he's bringing that in a fresh tale. So, Ron, anything else on Radiant Black?
Nope. Back, help me make Paragon Prime happen. Go to my GoFundMe on my Twitter. You'll find.
Let's check out Paragon Prime, and if you got some time, check out Galactic Rodents of Mayhem at scoutcomics.com. And guys, when we hear about good comic books, let's just spread the word so it could get around. All right, guys, till next time, geek out.
Geek out.